Joining us now is Dr. Richard Alley, author of the book Earth, the Operator's Manual. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Alley.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Love the title, Earth, the Operator's Manual, and you've also hosted a PBS TV special by the same name.
That was fantastic. I worked with Jeff Haynes Stiles and Erna Kugano. The National Science Foundation funded it. 3 hours. We had fun.
Great fun. Tell us a little bit about the book and consequently the special and its relevance now in the whole climate change debate.
So I come as a physical scientist. I'm a geologist. I do the history of climate. I do will the ice sheets fall in the ocean and flood the coast. And that leads to, if we don't change our energy system, it will have cost to us. But now you're talking money, you're talking jobs, you're talking all sorts of fascinating things. And so I tried, as a professor, to learn the story. What really can we do? What really will help people? And what comes out is, in some ways, a very optimistic view of the world, which is that if we take the science and we combine it with what we believe in and where we want to go, the science makes us better off. It makes the economy grow faster. It makes more jobs. It makes greater national security. It's more consistent with the Golden Rule. And it's the possibility of actually getting the good we get from energy and giving it to everyone in the world. And so this whole story is wound up, and it's a little bigger than any of us. And I tried to learn enough of it that we could tell it in an objective way that was accessible to people.
And interesting. Since your book talks a lot about the history and the development of climate change, how do we know we're experiencing climate change, I guess, if you looked at data and records?
Right. So climate has always changed. And those of us who have gone exploring in the history of climate, I work on ice cores and others work on mud in the ocean and tree rings and so on, we've tried to understand the remarkable number of things that affect the climate. And as we've done that, it becomes clearer and clearer that there's lots of tuning knobs, but that CO2 has been the biggest one affecting climate over Earth's history. In fact, I gave a talk once called The Biggest Control Knob. And so the more we learn about all the complexities of Earth's climate, the clearer it becomes that we're pushing really hard now.
Great, got it. Congratulations, by the way, on being the keynote speaker. What did you talk about in that address?
Right, so I looked at the fundamentals of the science. Why, people will ask, do you believe in global warming? Global warming is an unavoidable consequence of known physics. We don't have a science of global warming. We have a science of how the climate works. And it uses a lot of the research that the Air Force did after World War II for heat-seeking missiles. If you're trying to keep the enemy bomber from dropping something on your city and you're following the heat radiation of the engine, if you have the wrong sensor, you can't see it because CO2 blocks the view. And there is much more heat going up from the sun-warmed Earth than coming down from enemy bombers. It's physics.
That sounded exciting. Lastly, I guess, what are you most excited about at this year's NCSE National Conference?
It's the solutions. We do know that science helps us. We do know. You know, I have a cell phone in my pocket. A cell phone is a cup of oil, a handful of sand, and some of the right red rocks and green rocks, and science. And engineering, and a little marketing, and some design. But scientists really can turn oil and sand and red and green rocks into a cell phone that works. And in that cell phone is a computer based on quantum mechanics. In that cell phone is a GPS that is using relativity from Einstein. Science works. We use weather forecasts, we use cell phones, we can use climate science, and we can use it to make us better off. It doesn't tell us what to do, but here at this meeting are the people who are going to use it to make us better off.
That's terrific. And you're one of the best ambassadors for that.
I hope I try.
Terrific. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you.